Welcome to Habitly Courses, a production of Manage to Win. Each course is divided into multiple lessons for easy viewing. All are now completely free, so you can watch them on your own or work through them as a team. Please subscribe to this channel, leave a comment, and share your favorite lessons with others. Try to find something that helps you be your best.
Hello, this is David Russell. We are talking about relationships and how to become a master motivator. Well, this is lesson 2. This is when we start to dive a bit deeper, although lesson 3 is my favorite as far as content on this. But this is going to start to help you understand the 12 driving forces. Very simply, I'm going to walk you through each one at a time. So the first one is instinctive. This is the left-hand side of the theoretical. The motivation keyword here is knowledge. You can see that in the center. The focus is this person wants to apply what they know based on their experience and skills. They have a desire to learn and apply knowledge necessary to accomplish the task at hand, not just any knowledge, okay? So they're not trivia folks. The benefit here is they have the ability to apply past experiences and intuition to solve specific problems. That's a good thing. So to give you kind of a summary of how they approach things, these people value intuition. They're precise about what they need to know, because remember, they don't want to know everything about a subject. They just want to know, what do I have to know to solve this problem? They're very good at utilizing past experience and skills, and they're going to seek out new data only when it's necessary. So this is the type of person that's going to Google a topic to address a situation. And they prefer situations where they can rely on past experiences. Otherwise, they're going to be uncomfortable. They do like to start a project, or are comfortable starting a project, before gathering all the necessary information. That can be rare for some people, but these people, it's okay, because they're going to rely on past knowledge. As long as it relates to that, they're going to be good. Now, we talked about the difference between behaviors and motivators. What do you think would be the 2 most noticeable behaviors of an instinctive person? I've got the D, dominance, I, influencing, S, steadiness, C, compliance. We're going to go through this 12 times. I'm not going to read that every time. What do you think? Choose 2, and the answer is D and the I. Okay? And this is in general. All right, D and the I. Now remember, as we go through this, I'm going to show you the flip side, which is the intellectual for the theoretical, and theirs are going to be the opposite, so that should be pretty quick for you, all right? Now, same type of thing. They're still motivated by knowledge, if this is intense. Yeah, but an intellectual, they'd be a lifelong student if they could afford to. They just love to learn. New information, facts, problem solving. Hey, this is fun, all right? So they want to learn everything that they can, regardless of whether it has direct application. Now, the benefit is that they'll look at a lot of information, and then they can objectively identify, differentiate, generalize, and systematize. So in other words, they can work through it and bring you back some value, but it's going to take more time than someone who's an instinctive. So remember, when we're talking about a summary of what these people really love, it is that they love to learn, and they're happy doing research, lots and lots of research, and gathering as much information as possible. And then the thing you need to be aware of is that they want to focus on gathering information rather than relying on what they have as intuition or past skills and experience when they're confronted with a challenge. It's like, oh, let's research this. Well, wait a minute, you did that before. No, let's look into it. So keep in mind, that's what they're valuable to the group, but you just have to understand how to motivate them and how to set some boundaries. Now, what do you think of the typical behaviors of an intellectual? Is it D, I, S, or C? Which 2 are often going to be the most noticeable behaviors of an intellectual? And the answer is S and C, steadiness and compliance. They're analyticals. They're process-driven. So it just makes sense. Okay, let's move to utilitarian, keyword utility. These are people who basically we're going to focus on the selfless driving force first. These are people who complete tasks for the sake of completion, not for what they get in return. These people do better pursuing goals as part of a team because they're working for the greater good, and they are focused on the impact beyond their individual efforts and success. They're really not driving for themselves. So they generously assist others to walk through this list of a summary 4 key points, and there's a minimal expectation of personal return. They accomplish tasks for the sake of accomplishment. As I mentioned, they're focused on greater good versus ROI. And, it's kind of interesting. They value people for who they are versus what they can provide. So when you think about this person, you think about, I wonder what the behaviors are of someone who has an intense, selfless driving force. Is it D, I, S, or C? Choose 2. And the answer is, oftentimes they're an I and an S. They're people. Okay, now the flip side of that, resourceful. We're still talking about utilitarian, keyword utility, but these people want to make money or they want to achieve results. Most of the time, it is achieve results, because if they achieve results, they make the money. But they really want a high ROI on their time, and they'll apply resources to solve problems. They're going to make this work. They're going to make it happen. They're going to solve it. The benefit is that basically they will accelerate and creatively apply resources to accomplish results. Let me show you 4 statements here. They're really driven to achieve results. If you've got them in a role where they cannot achieve results, or they have to ask permission to do anything, it's not going to work out. What they want to do is they want to make things more efficient, make things more profitable, and they want a good return on their time, talent, energy, and resources. Now, they're very motivated to maximize opportunities, and they're energized by building a framework that maximizes their time and talent invested in a project or overall, and they are natural entrepreneurs because they're sensitive to wasting time, resources, and opportunities. Now, thinking of their behaviors, what 2 behaviors would often be the profile of a resourceful person? D, I, S, or C? The answer is D and C. Why? They're task-oriented. The I and the S is people-oriented. These guys are task-oriented, guys and gals. All right, let's move on to the third value or motivator, which is aesthetic. We'll look at these 2 driving forces. On the left-hand side, we've got objective. And remember, we're talking about surroundings, okay? And so the focus of the objective person is to make decisions based on facts and logic, and they are much more interested in function over form. It doesn't have to be pretty, but it's got to work the best. Their focus is to achieve desired logical outcomes. They don't get into office drama. They can thrive in difficult circumstances, but they are focused more on the facts, logic, the functionality to get things done. Now, 4 statements on them. They can view everything in pieces instead of as a whole, and they're going to focus on the functionality rather than the harmony of a situation. So it's not so important for them that they work with their best friends. They don't want to work with jerks, but they don't have to everybody get along. Let's just get the job done. And another thing is that they're not necessarily artistic or nice stuff is not important to them. They just want functionality. So they can work in a garage. Doesn't matter. They can also compartmentalize chaotic situations and focus on the desired outcome to get through it. And that's why they can thrive in an environment filled with chaos. Now, if you think about their behaviors, what might be the 2 most noticeable behaviors of an objective person? The D, the I, S, and or the C. And the answer is the D and the C. Functionality, unemotional, drive it through. Now, talking about the harmonious person, the flip side of that On the aesthetic, if it's intense, they're very much into the subjective experience. They want to beautify the world around them and be in harmony with others. Two things there, artistic and being in harmony. So this is important, and really what they're good at is creative expression and relating to others' feelings. The 4 statements I would give you is they value and enjoy beauty. They're artistic typically. Might be a musician, might be a photographer. They might be able to walk into a room and decorate it, or they may just like nice stuff. But that's important to them is beauty. Now, they also will flourish in an environment where they're getting along with people because they want harmony and balance, not just in the surroundings, but in the relationships. So these are subjective thinkers that are focused on the totality of a situation, so they have what they believe is a rewarding interaction. And they get a high level of satisfaction when they can create rapport and tranquility with others and also make things beautiful. So that closes out aesthetic. Their behaviors. All right. What do you think of the 2 most noticeable behaviors of the harmonious person? The D, the I, the S, or the C? Well, it's going to be the opposite of the person we looked at just a moment ago. It's the I and the S, right? So these are the people, the I's and the S's. All right, now let's talk about social. On the left-hand side, we've got intentional. And really, the focus here is they will assist other people when there's a connection to their interests. So they want to use the world as a tool set to achieve their goals. I'm not saying they're manipulative, but they're really not emotional in their business decisions. They want to develop others, so they're strengthening their team, they're increasing their opportunities. So 4 statements to describe the intentionally motivated person. They assist others for a specific purpose, not just to be helpful. For them, the world is a tool set to accomplish their goals. And they see the importance of keeping emotions out of business versus being emotional or, really heartfelt type of stuff. And they will help an individual if they see opportunities for future return. Their behaviors, what do you think might be the 2 most noticeable behaviors of an intentional person? D, I, S, or C? And the answer is the D and the C, all business. All right, let's flip it. The altruistic person. The altruistic person, the social is the motivator, others is the key word. The altruistic person wants to make the world a better place. They'd love to eliminate hate and conflict from the world. All right, that's their big deal. So they want to help others. They are very selfless, generous with their time, talents, and resources. They have a passion for life. They're on a crusade or a mission. So 4 statements that describe an altruistic. They want to help others. They'll give generously of their time, talent, and resources with no expectation of personal return. And they can almost instinctively notice and respond to people in need. They believe people should have the opportunity to be the best they can be, and they will sacrifice personal gain in a situation if the outcome is detrimental to others. It's interesting. I have worked with only one company so far where everyone in the company, about 20, 25 people, were high socials. No matter what role they had in the company, they all were motivated primarily to help people. It's also interesting to note that when we've done these assessments, I've done them with people that are being hired. I had a company recently, and they're account managers. So these are the farmers on the sales side where they work with existing accounts. They have 3 of them. They're all successful, and every single one of them is a high social, an altruistic profile. So what do you think of the most noticeable behaviors of an altruistic person? A D, I, S, or C? Well, it's going to be the people, the I's and the S's. All right, moving on to our 5th value or motivator, the individualistic, where the key word is power. The first driving force of the individualistic we'll look at is the collaborative. Now, this is someone who wants to work in the background. They're a team player, and they want to contribute to the team and support a leader or a cause. They do not want to be in the limelight. And they work well on a team. That's all good. So 4 statements to consider is that this person, their self-motivating environment is to be working in the background. And they focus on the greater good versus advancing their position. And they like to work behind the scenes. And they can set aside their own agenda for the good of the company. Okay, this is not somebody who wants power. So although this particular motivator is power, this is the person who really doesn't want power. They want to be on the team. They don't want the limelight. They want to be in the background. So thinking about that, when you think about their 2 most noticeable behaviors, a collaborative person is what? A D, I, S, and or C. And the answer is an I and an S. People. Now let's flip it. The commanding person, an intense score of someone in the individualistic motivator is commanding. They want to be in control. They're looking for personal gain, advance their career. They like recognition. They're good with the detail, also good with big picture. They're going to drive things to success because it makes them look good and helps them advance. They want status, authority. They like to be in control. They like leadership. Oftentimes you'll see owners have this pretty high commanding score. Okay? So 4 statements. They value status and recognition and assert control over their freedom and destiny. Basically, they want to be in control. That's a driver for them. Sometimes they will apply an end justifies the means type of concept to really drive something through. They're hard workers, work long and hard to advance themselves, and they can be passionate about something that leads to an enduring legacy, a meaningful accomplishment for them. Something to keep in mind. But these people can have a tendency to be a little bit more egotistical, more focused on self rather than the team or the organization long term. So you got to be aware of it and, really assess how this person's going to fit in. As far as the 2 most noticeable behaviors, what do you think for an individualistic who is commanding? A D, I, S, and or C? And the answer is the D and the C. Task-oriented are going to be drivers. All right. The last motivator is traditional. Last but not least. Keyword here is methodologies. Basically, if we look at the driving force side of the traditional that is receptive, which used to be the low side, there is a feeling here that there's more than one right way to do something, and they like to find new ways to do things. So they're going to identify ideas and new ways to achieve results, typically outside the normal spectrum of thought or the status quo. 4 statements about this particular driving force. The receptive is open to new ideas. Wouldn't you think so? Receptive? Methods and opportunities that fall outside a defined system for living, a status quo, an established religion, an established way to process to get something done. They always want to find new ways to accomplish routine tasks, and they prefer to set their own plan to guide and direct their actions. So if we're going to put them in a motivating environment, we've got to give them some flexibility to define how do you want to go about this. And they can be very creative when they're interpreting systems, and they will adopt aspects of them if they see a benefit. So what do you think of the 2 key behaviors of a receptive person? D, I, S, or C? And the answer is I and the S, more of a people person. And last but not least, we've got the structured driving force of a traditional motivator. They want to do things the right way. They may not know the right way, but they want to find the right way. So they're going to develop proven methods and implement systems to achieve the best results to do the right thing. They'll give everything for what they believe in and help others benefit from their systems. 4 statements. They value a traditional approach, proven methods, and a defined system for living. They work diligently to advance a cause they believe in. They typically have strong spiritual beliefs, by the way. They place a high value on following and implementing systems. And they will foster and protect principles and beliefs to confirm consistency throughout an organization. So they're going to help you define what works well and then keep it going. Now, what do you think are the two most noticeable behaviors of a structured person, the D, I, S, or C? The answer is the D and the C. They're going to be task-oriented. Okay, I just walked you through each of the 12 driving forces. They're going to be covered on the exam. So do study them, talk about them, see if you can figure out what yours is. If you've taken one of our assessments, it's easy. If not, be a little bit more challenging, but you can figure it out. Maybe talk about, what the primary driving force is for each of the people in your team or work group, that type of thing. Or maybe there's a client you work regularly with. Figure that out. Anyway, enjoy this, see what you can apply, see what you can learn. Be ready for the exam, pass the exam. This is the conclusion of Lesson 2. I look forward to working with you in Lesson 3. Bye for now.